if you are anywhere between the ages of 18 to 27 and you want to be financially free, you want to live the life of your dreams, listen up. This is a very important message for you and perhaps a warning. You see, the government is trying to turn you into a slave, and they are leading you into a trap that will keep you poor for the rest of your life. And in this exact lesson, I am going to break down exactly the 6 traps that the government uses to keep you poor for the rest of your life. You see, what is the government? Many people, when you ask them this question, some of them think that the government is just some being or some person who is the smartest person in the world, a person who knows everything and everyone all at the same time. Others think that the government doesn't affect them. They think that the government is something that happens on a national level, so it doesn't affect my neighborhood and where I am staying at. And while others think that the government is just something that pays for everything and everyone. Well, all of those statements couldn't be further from the truth. You see, the government is a group of people, usually around 400 to 800 people, that decide on how to run a country. They decide on how to run a country by creating rules for that country. But here is the key thing. Those exact people that tell us how we should live by engineering rules for us. Since the dawn of time, each and every year, those people are exposed for being the first people to break their own rules. These people each and every year are arrested for doing corruption.
A prominent Zimbabwean politician, Job Sikala, has been buoyed up as he made his first court appearance at the Pretoria Magistrates Courts.
A former ANC minister has officially been arrested, taken into custody by the Hawks in connection with the multi-million rand fraud and corruption scandal that has shaken the foundations of South African politics.
Police Minister Bheki saying this morning that high-profile politicians will soon be arrested in relation to the riots in the country last month.
Yeah, so court proceedings are currently underway in the Pretoria Magistrates Court. Now, before this, the now former speaker handed herself over to authorities this morning. Now, before she handed herself over, she lost 2 court applications this week in which she tried to prevent her arrest. But the court has set aside those applications, kind of ultimately paving the way for her to be either arrested or hand herself over to the police.
Each and every year, those people are the ones that end up breaking the very same rules that they created for the civilization.
41 suspects were wanted by the Hawks. So far, 36 have been arrested, with some having appeared in court already.
The Hawks have vowed to go after those involved in an alleged 114 million rand fraud and corruption scheme involving the Mpumalanga Education Department.
You see, I grew up from a village family, one of the most poorest villages here in Mpumalanga. My uncle was working in construction. You see, growing up, when I looked at that man, I used to look at that man as my hero, because each and every day that man was working hard. In a month, he will only rest 4 days. The rest of the days, he was at work, clocking in from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. That man was a hard worker. It didn't matter if he was feeling tired. It didn't matter if yesterday he was overworked. When it hit 6 a.m. in the morning, he would wake up and he would go to work. And he would come back home at 6 p.m. exactly. But each and every month end, when he comes home with his pay slip, he used to cry. Because this man was getting paid 20,000 rands on paper. But the money that reflects into his account is only 30% of that 20,000 rands. Meaning that when the month ends, the money that reflects into his account was only 6,000 rands out of 20,000 rands. Before any expenses, the rest of the money, which is 70%, was deducted. Guess by who? The government. They deducted that money using things like retirement funds, insurance, UIF, institutions, and unions that do not serve any purpose. That man worked hard every single day, but every single day when he came back home, he had zero money in his name. Every single month end, when he should relax and say, you know what, I have worked hard for this month. It's time for me to actually sit down, relax, get a cold beer, and watch football. Guess what? He couldn't do that because every single month end, this man was stressed because the money that enters into his account leaves without even doing anything at all. And that is exactly what the modern government is telling people: to chase your dreams, do this and that, and you will live financially free. When in full retrospect, they know well that what it is waiting for you is a life of misery each and every month, living every single month paycheck to paycheck, depressed every single month, working hard but feeling like your effort does not have any significance because it doesn't change anything for you and your family. You see, the first trap that the government uses to turn you into a slave for the rest of your life is the education is the key to success trap. You've probably heard this statement before, more than once. But have you actually came to actually think to yourself why that slogan has been chanted into your ears since you were young? They tell you that education is the key to success. Well, I questioned that. And after doing some research, you see, education was created by this man right here. This man had only one goal out of education: give people enough knowledge to be able to survive, but not enough knowledge to be able to thrive for themselves. Ask yourself, When is the last time in your school had they taught you about how taxes work, how gross income, how to calculate your net worth, how to build a business, how money works, how to actually live life without having to have an issue as to how your finances are going, how to balance your checkbooks. All of these questions are the questions that you need to ask yourself before you can start thinking about living the life of financial freedom. Because those very questions are the questions that determine if you live a life that ultimately serves you for good, or a life of misery like my own uncle. You see, let me tell you something. Modern education was designed to teach you about things that are unnecessary. Tell me right now, when is the last time when you actually used the square root of 7? The Pythagoras theorem in real life? When is the last time where you used Newton's third law of motion to solve a personal problem that you are facing? You cannot even barely remember. But yet, that is the key to success that they advertise to you, that they tell you that will lead you to financial freedom. How pathetic. The second trap that they use to turn you into a slave for the rest of your life is your dream job will turn all your dreams and make them all come true. You've heard this before. What is your dream job? This is a question that your teacher used to ask you ever since you were in 3rd grade. What is your dream job? Well, let me tell you something. You see, 80% of people that are working are living on 30% of their salaries. It doesn't matter if after the interview they tell you that you've got the job, we are going to pay you 100,000 rands. You have to know from that exact moment that you are not getting paid 100,000 rands. You are going to get paid 30% of that 100,000 rands when the month ends. The rest only goes out into the government. Meaning that if they tell you that they are going to pay you 100,000 rands each and every month, you have to know that you are going to get paid 30,000 rands each and every month. And tell me right now, is 30,000 rands enough to build your dream life? Is 30,000 rands enough to buy your dream mansion? Is 30,000 rands enough to buy your dream car? That's not enough. You see, this dream job that has been advertised to you ever since you were still in high school is ultimately a slave contract. Because in the late 80s, slaves were taken by force to go work in the field. But in today's day and age, they no longer need to take you by force. They just give you a tiny sprinkle of money and dangle it in your face and tell you that this is how much you will get if you work for me every single day And if you decide one day that you do not want to no longer work for me, guess what? I am taking this money, and you, my friend, will go back to the 67% of the population who has been searching for a job for the past 7 years, 5 years, 3 years after finishing college, hoping that my dream job is coming. When you have the dream job, you see that that dream job is not paying you enough. And yet someone who has a master's degree, a doctorate degree, has just put that doctorate degree under his bed, hoping that one day God will listen and ultimately give them a slave contract to at least live by the 30% that the government is paying them, and letting the government take the rest of the money. Tell me if this so-called dream job actually affords the lifestyle that you want to live. No, it does not. And they have been advertising this ever since you were still in school, ever since you were growing up. They used to tell you that you need to have your dream job. Never had they told you that you need to become a millionaire. They never taught you that. They never taught you how a business works. They never taught you how to actually control money so that you are able to buy your dream mansion. You were only taught the theorem of Pythagoras. You were only taught Newton's third law of motion. You were only taught what square roots are. The third trap that they like to use to trap you, my friend, into becoming a slave ultimately. They tell you that we are going to increase the taxes for the rich. We want the rich to pay more taxes so the poor can be fed by the government, so the poor can be helped by the government, and they live life to their fullest. It sounds good on paper. It sounds good when a man in a suit is standing on a balcony with a mic and telling you that we want to increase the taxes on the rich. But here's what they do not want to tell you. Here's what they do not want you to know. It is nearly impossible to tax the rich. It is nearly impossible to tax the rich. That is one statement that the government would rather die than admitting.
Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett, 3 of the richest men in the world. And yet it's very likely that you pay more tax as a proportion of your earnings than they do. In fact, Warren Buffett once said this.
But I'm paying about the same percentage of my income to the federal government as my secretary does.
Leaked tax returns analysed by ProPublica found that Jeff Bezos paid no federal income tax in 2007 and 2011, while Elon Musk didn't pay any income tax in 2018.
New data today reveals 66 Australian millionaires paid no tax last year.
Between them, they earned almost $1 billion last financial year, but they paid 0 in tax.
And I'm going to tell you exactly why. You see, the government knows very well that rich people did not become rich by randomness. They know that rich people know something that normal people do not know. And that is, when you understand how money actually works, when you understand how the government actually works and how they use the money that they are taxing from other people, you too, my friend, wouldn't want to pay taxes. Because here is the cold hard truth. The 70% of money that they are using and that they are taking from your paycheck every single month, they use that money to pay for themselves, to pay for their cars, to pay for their houses, to pay for their children's tuition. It's not about you. It's not about the poor. It has never been about the poor. It has never been about the youth. If it was about the youth and the poor, guess what? The poor would be living life like the middle class. The numbers would have decreased since 1954. And guess what? Ever since the 80s, the number for poor people, it hasn't gone down. It has only increased. So tell me, if the number for poor people keeps on increasing each and every year, where is that money that they are taking from your paycheck going to? If the unemployment rate ever since the 70s hasn't gone down but only increased, where is the money that they are taking from your salary? All in the name that we want to create fair opportunities. All in the names of we want to create better job opportunities for the youth. If the unemployment rate has been increasing exponentially since the dawn of time, where is that money actually going into? That is a question that you have to ask yourself. If a politician that gets paid 30,000 rands each and every month manages out of the blue to build a mega mansion that costs 5 million within a space of a week or a month, if a politician that gets paid 70,000 rands on paper manages to buy a supercar that costs 7 million, 3 million, 5 million within a space of a month, not their entire career, a month, where is that money coming from? Surely you cannot tell me that they have been working hard for their entire lives, because you have been working hard for your entire life. But every single month, when the month ends, you get paid 100,000 rands at the top of your pay slip, but the money that reflects in your bank account is 30,000 rands, and even that 30,000 rands is barely enough to cover your monthly expenses for the month to end. So where is that 5 million? Where is that 10 million? Where is that 15 million coming from? If you and that politician get paid roughly the same amount. So if you see that, my friend, you now realize that this has been a game of play all your entire life. You now see through it, as well as the ultra rich sees through it. You now see the tricks behind the magicians. You see that Each and every year, politicians get arrested for corruption, for greediness. Each and every year, when they are meeting, they are always fighting. This one is eating money. This one is too greedy. This one is doing this and that. What do you think they are fighting over? Aren't they fighting over your tax money? That is what the ultra-rich has realized, and that is what I have realized after reading over 70 business books, understanding how money actually works. That opened my eyes to see that the government has been magicianing to people since the dawn of time. They have been robbing people for the opportunity to live their life to the fullest, all in the hopes that we are creating fairness for each and everyone. Since the 80s, this country or the whole world has never been fair. There has been an increasing number of poor people than there is a decreasing number of rich people. That has to tell you something. The agenda that they are trying to push is not what is actually happening behind the scenes. And rich people understood exactly that. And what they decided to do is perhaps the most smartest move ever pulled. Because they understood that in order to fight the law, you have to use the law. They hired one of the most best lawyers. They hired people that have been studying law for more than 15 years. People that understand law and that dream about law every night when they go to bed. They hired those people to figure out ways for them to avoid or to minimize on paying taxes. An increased number of millionaires have been paying zero on taxes each and every year. Politicians know that exactly. They know that these people are too smart to tax, because the moment you try to enter into their house, guess what? They own nothing. They are living in a mega mansion that they do not own. Some of them drive exotic cars that they do not own. So how can the government tax me if I do not own the house that I'm living in? How can the government tax me if I do not own the car that I drive every single day? Surely they cannot. So they realize that. But here's what this gets all twisted. Because they realize that they cannot tax the rich. They understand that the poor and the middle class, guess what? They don't understand how money works. They don't understand how finances work. They push this agenda that we want to increase the taxes for the rich. And what ends up happening? Those taxes do not go to the rich. They affect the middle class and the poor. Because prices get risen in stores. Bread that used to cost 20 rands now costs 50 rands. Things that used to be cheap for you to survive after getting that 30% of your paycheck, now all of a sudden they are expensive. We increase the taxes for the rich. They only increase for you. And here's the trick. The reason that they are increasing those taxes is because they want to buy more houses, more cars, more private schools for their children. You take your child to a public school that teaches them the square root of 7 and nothing else about finances. They take 70% of your salary, take it and pay for their son to go overseas and learn on a private institution how money works. And when they come back here, that son uses that knowledge to build wealth, while your son goes to work and work for their son. And their son takes 70% of your son's salary to build more things and become more richer, while your son, you understand how the pattern goes. That is a trap that they have been using to keep 90% of people in the population slaves since the dawn of time. And it will not stop now. And that is what the rich realize. And that is how the rich decided to form and know how the law works in order to save themselves and their families from the government. And here's another lie that they use to keep you a slave and keep you poor till you die. Follow the rules and there will not be any problems. If you follow the rules, you do what the government tells you, you will be free and you won't have any problems. You will be free. You will live your dream life. Everything you've ever wanted ever since you were young, you are going to get it. All that you have to do, follow the path that has been laid out in front of your eyes. Go to public school. After public school, go to tertiary. It doesn't matter if you want to take a student loan. It doesn't matter if you are paying for yourself. Study for that career that you so enjoy, that you have chosen ever since you were in 3rd grade, knowing zero as to how this career will impact you for the rest of your life. Follow the conventional route after tertiary. If you are lucky and you are not part of the 67% of the unemployment rate, guess what? You will be hired to work for your dream job and live life to your fullest. They didn't tell you that path, that conventional path, the reason that so many people are struggling in life is because of that exact path, those exact rules that they have set for you. Let's go and establish and understand how this path, in fact, is not the one that will turn your lives into success. If you manage to finish high school with flying colors like I did, you will be offered an opportunity to study at university. Either you take a bursary or earn or you pay for your own tuition. If you are lucky to pay for your own tuition, you are safe. But if you take a bursary or earn guess what? The one thing that they don't tell you when you sign those bursary papers or contract is, if you fail, you are going to pay for your tuition for next year and up until you finish. And even if you pass with flying colors in the traditional institution in university, guess what happens? When you get your job, instead of them taking that 70% that they usually take for everyone who is in the workforce, guess what they do? They add from that 70% another percentage that you will pay each and every month up until you die. Not when you reach a certain age, when you finally complete that tuition. No. Up until you die, you pay for the money that the government has spent on you to teach you the skills that will lead you to your dream job. You have to pay back that money. Guess what? NS was not free. It was not. And I know I might get sued for this. I know I might get attacked for this. But this is the truth, that most people are sleepwalking in life without knowing. They do not pay you to study there for free. You have to pay it back. And when you are working, you will pay it back. They do not even take it after it reflects in your account. They take it before it even enters into your account. Meaning that if you were expecting 6,000, you are no longer expecting 6,000. The money that will reflect into your account is 4,000. And you will see on that 4,000 how much you are going to allocate into your own personal expenses, your own personal safety, your own personal hygiene, your family, your food, shelter, whatever. You will see from that 4,000. That is the so-called dream job, the so-called conventional path. And if by some weird coincidence you fall, a cloud of bad luck comes and attacks you and your entire bloodline and your entire family, you pass with flying colors in those traditional institutions, on those universities, you will get to join the 67% of other people that have doctorates, that have bachelor's degrees, and wait in line and hope for God to say, God, please, it doesn't matter if they take 70% of my salary, just give me something to just live by every single month. And if bad luck really runs in your family, guess what? You will leave. You will even forget that you are a qualified doctorate. It doesn't matter if you have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter if you have an honors degree. It doesn't matter if you are a doctor. What matters is, do you have the job or not? If you are unlucky, my friend, you will die. Like so many people in South Africa, crying each and every month, each and every year, crying on the government. Where are the job opportunities? We are searching for job opportunities, but we don't see them. Where are they? You promised us each and every year that you are creating more job opportunities, but we don't see them. And, my friend, here is another trap that they use to trap you and keep you a slave and poor for the rest of your life. Pay your taxes in time so that you do not have any problems at all. Pay your taxes in time so that you don't have any problems at all. Keyword, pay in time. And let me tell you why. The reason that they tell you this is because remember that your pay slip is their pay slip. That 70% goes to their children's tuition, goes towards their mega mansions, goes towards their exotic cars. So if you do not pay your taxes, guess what happens? Their child overseas will get kicked out of school. So you have to pay your taxes in time so they are able to pay for their children's tuition overseas. You have to pay your taxes in time so they are able to buy or afford the monthly installment on their mega mansions, so they are not kicked out of their mega mansions. You have to pay your taxes in time so that their exotic cars doesn't get repossessed. Because if you, by some coincidence, decide not to pay that taxes, guess what? Their entire reality literally gets taken from them. So they will use this tactic to tell you that you need to pay your taxes in time. Because if you don't, I'd hate to see what will happen to their family, to their children. So you need to understand and be aware of this, my friend. You need to understand how this world works. You need to understand how money works in order to save yourself. Because if you cannot save yourself, my friend, no one will. No one will come to your house and say that, I know this person from high school. Now that I'm a multi-millionaire, here's 100,000 for you to save yourself. No. You have to understand how money works, how you are being manipulated, how you are being taken advantage of in order to avoid these traps, in order to live the life that you have been dreaming about ever since you were young. And the last but not least trap that the government likes to use to keep you poor is the government knows everything, is so smart, and will fix everything for you. All that you have to do is keep on paying taxes and they will fix everything. I've already showed you how they are not fixing the unemployment rate. I've already showed you how they are not fixing the poor people's lively situation. I've already showed you how they are not fixing anything at all. What they are doing, and here's a weird realization that I came across when I was still in high school. You see, when I was still in high school, there was a program called the Side program. What happens in this program is, what they do, they go to each and every province here in South Africa, and what they do is they pick the top, they take all the schools in South Africa and they put them in a list. Every learner, every single learner, they put them on a list, and they filter that list starting by the top achievers on that list and the bottom achievers. Every single learner in the nation, every public school, they take the top 800 highest performing learners and they put them in a camp, all in the name of, we are doing a push, we are pushing these students because they are about to write an exam. We want them to perform exceptionally well so universities around the world are able to accept them. Guess what happens? My parents got a letter for me to attend in that camp. I was so happy. Went there to that camp. First day, things were quite usual. Camp style, we were learning, we had classrooms, things were fine. Second day, the same things. We were getting taught mathematics, but the things that we were taught there are things that we already knew. You cannot take a high achiever and teach them things that they already know, all in the name of, we are pushing them to perform well. How well do you want them to perform if they are already performing well? That is a question that you need to keep to yourself as I continue with this statement. The third day, they came to our classrooms, each and every one of us, and they told us that we are having a competition. The government is here and the government is proposing for all classrooms to compete in a competition. And in this competition, there will be very, very exciting prizes for the winners of the competitions. Each and every classroom will have a group of 5 learners. And in this group, each group will come up with an idea. Pay attention to this. Each group will come up with an idea in order to solve the problem of Eskom. Come up with a new way that has never been thought of before. Keyword, has never been thought of before. We don't want to hear wind pipes. We don't want to hear hydroelectricity. We don't want to hear all the normal stuff that you are used to create electricity. Come up with a way, the newest way to create electricity so the country can have renewable electricity forever. This way must, here's the key, must be cost effective, meaning that it must be cheap for the government to set up. This way must have enough electricity so that many people get the electricity for their cell phones, to do everything that they need for their houses and whatever. But this way needs to be a new way, and it has to be cost effective and generate more electricity and better electricity than Eskom, than using the conventional path of coal. And as I sat there and I tried to ask myself, why would the government be interested in such a stupid way? Because obviously these are just young students in matric. It all dawned on me that, they are not that smart after all. Because if you cannot solve the very same problem that you are telling the whole of South Africa, a population of more than 1 million people, that we are looking for a solution to solve the Eskom problem and solve load shedding, how are you coming to a school asking children to think about a way that has never been thought of before? If you are that smart, if you have a dedicated group of people thinking of a solution at a higher level. And here's what really tipped me off. You see, when those children, us, we were working on the way on how to actually come up with a new idea, I saw children coming up with ways that I never thought of before. I myself was even stunned of some of the ideas they use to actually create electricity. Because here's the thing, I was in the middle of people here in South Africa, or children here in South Africa, in Mpumalanga to be precise, that are well performers, people that barely get 99 out of 100. These people are used to getting hundreds across all subjects. I am barely performing, getting an 80% just by fighting a little bit so that I can get my dream job. And I was facing, for the first time in my life, people that are actually better than me. And here's the thing, when they presented those ideas to the government, here's what, the third group that won, they were given books. The second group, they were given books plus a trophy. The third group, or the first group, the top achievers, They were given books, they were given trophies, and they were given tablets. Here's what gets me mad. You ask children to come up with an idea that has been taking you years to come up with. And you don't even feature them that if this operation even gets set up to be put in effect so that the country can generate new electricity, you as the people who came up with this idea, you will be paid a small percentage off of this brainstorming that you have done. What they do, they just give you a book, a trophy that they buy from a Target store or a cheap store, and they give you a tablet that is cheap. And they take the idea, they go to the news and say, we have came up with a solution to fight the problem of Eskom, and the solution is as it goes. That is what tipped me off, because surely to me, to anyone or the normal eye, it seems like, it was a great idea. But as I saw through it, I realized that, something has to be off. Something has to be off. And here is the last part. If you, my friend, now I'm going to put you at the space of the government. If you were the government, to wake up one day and you were the government, you decide to put a camp in place to help children perform well, would you pick the top achievers or would you pick the bottom achievers if your goal is to make sure that children pass very well? If you are someone with this, you'd understand that I would pick the bottom achievers, take them and school them so they can pass well as well. But that's not what they did, because they had their own agenda in place. And that is how I found out that this government has never been smart. And here's proof. You see, most politicians, most people that are selected to become our government, here's what, they do not check you if you are smart here, if you have the brains. They don't check that. They only check one thing: how many votes do you get? If you are smart here, if you are good in convincing other people, then my friend, you are more likely to become the next president of South Africa. If you are more likely to become the next president of any nation, if you are good at talking, if you are good at convincing people to vote for you. It doesn't matter if you didn't finish matric. It doesn't matter if you have zero idea of how money works. All that you have to do in order to become a politician, get enough votes, and you will have a seat at the top of the food chain, which is the government. So if you understand that, you understand that this government, any government in the world that you can think of, is not people who are smart. It's people who are popular. And people who are popular, in most cases, are not people who have the brains to run a country. It's not people who care about other people. They only care about how their lives are going. If everything goes good for them, then they are all sorted. How the poor population is living by on a day-to-day basis is none of their concerns. It's none of their business. As long as when the month ends, people pay their taxes, they get money reflected into their accounts every month. That's good with them. Ladies and gentlemen, all these reasons and millions, believe me on this, millions of other reasons that I didn't mention in this video, because reasons alone would get me attacked are the reason as to why the ultra rich understand that how the government is working is keeping people slaves and people poor for the rest of their entire careers. And when they keep you a slave up until you reach 70, when you retire, they let you live by. They let you suffer for the rest of your miserable life up until you die. Some do not even get to enjoy retirement because they are backheads. They've been overworked ever since they were 20 years old. They never had a single break ever since they decided to go into the workforce. You have two choices in front of you, ladies and gentlemen. The first choice is you can see what is truly happening in front of your eyes. You can understand the exact illusions, traps that have been set in front of you that you are about to fall into. Because once you see through the curtain, you cannot unsee what you've saw. Even if you would wish that one day you could wake up and forget that you are a slave, that you are about to be turned into a slave, you cannot forget it. You cannot ever escape it. You can try to take drugs. You can try to do as much as you do, but there's the thing. You cannot escape the truth. And here's the thing. You can choose to say, the government is too powerful, I cannot do it. I will just follow this conventional path, be miserable up until I'm 70 years old and then die. Forget about the life of my dreams. Forget about that dream house. Forget about that dream car. Forget everything. Follow the rules up until I die, because I do not have what it takes to actually make sure that I achieve the life of my dreams. Or you could take matters into your own hands, just like the top 1%. You can realize the information that has been put in front of your eyes, and you could take this information and you would find a way to build your own dream life without the government. Because if other people can do it, if other people can actually build their dream lives without the government, then what is actually stopping you? Because at the end of the day, we are all human. I bleed, you bleed. So what is stopping you from becoming the best version of yourself? What's stopping you from living the life of your dreams? What is stopping you from achieving your goals each and every day? That is a question that you have to ask yourself. If you decide to take matters into your own hands, here's one thing that you need to understand and you need to know very well. 94% of people that are rich in the world, 94% of millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, no, there's only one trillionaire, but billionaires and millionaires only got rich through one singular thing, and that is owning a business. That is understanding how money works. That is fighting the good war, fighting to save themselves each and every day. If you understand that there's only one way to escape this, you understand that you have to have a business, because that is the one thing that will save you from eternal slavery, save your entire bloodline even when you die, then you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a path that you have to follow. The very same path that I followed after reading over 70 business books. The same path that 3,000 students that are inside of my academy elite life strategies have followed to build their own businesses, scale them to tens and thousands of rands. That path, ladies and gentlemen, is the exact path that I have used. Get out all those lessons that I have used after starting over 6 businesses, and all of those 6 businesses flopping and failing in front of my face up until I started my 7th business, and every single thing from that day changed forever for my life. And if you want to know how to start your own business from scratch, scale it to tens and thousands of friends, watch this video right here.